Hello and welcome back to Commodity Corner for August 31st, 2005. There are two markets that we're seeing right now that are showing the most bullish opportunities. So we're going to focus on those. We'll get into a recap afterwards, but we're going to spend a little bit more time on these two markets that we feel will offer the best opportunity on the long side for the next coming week and weeks. Let's jump right in. So the first market we're going to focus in on is silver. As you can see, the market closed above $40. This is the first time the market has even remotely been in this area, going back all the way to 2011. The high of August 2011 was 44.275. Now we're in August of 25. It's 14 years later that the market has finally gotten back to this area. We're not going to get into why this was happening at the time because it's somewhat irrelevant, but it's something to take note of how long it took us to actually get here. Now, the momentum is definitely there. We're going to show you on a few different charts and a few different timeframes how, for those of you that do trade multi-timeframe continuity, that it does exist. But we want to show you first a bigger picture idea of what is going on in this market. Let's quickly go to a weekly. And you can see the trend is intact. Again, this was an igniting bar on the weekly. Back-to-back good weeks. Let's go to the daily quickly. Friday was an igniting bar. Even though Thursday was somewhat of an igniting bar, but there was real power on Friday. We're not going to get into, again, why this was happening, but we wanted to show you how strong this market is. Now, if we take a bird's eye view and just look it out, you could see you have an hourly, a daily, a weekly, and a monthly, and they're all showing the same thing, that the path of least resistance is up. Now, could you get a situation where the market pulls back a little bit this week before it goes again? 100%. It's definitely possible. We could try and flirt with this $40 a little bit, or we just keep going. Like I've said in the past, it bears repeating with commodities, and specifically commodities. When they go, they just go. They don't wait. When they're ready to go, they just go. Now, we've seen it in a few other markets. We saw it in copper. We saw it in platinum. When there was bullish momentum to it and people needed to buy these contracts and get in front of it, they just rocketed. So silver is now showing that characteristic. What makes silver a little bit more special is because of the fact, going back to the monthly, that it took us 14 years to get back here. With that being said, I would be very careful here because, again, you don't want to start just automatically just buying things left, right, and center. You have to use your head a little bit and understand that you do have to find good entries, but at the same time, this is not something you should be looking to get in front of and start shorting. There's nothing here that says to short, zero. So just be careful of that. It's a market that we believe is going to give a lot of opportunities on the long side for the next week and possible weeks. But we definitely think for this week, it's going to be one of those markets that's going to be something special. The second market that's on our radar that we think potentially might be doing something special, and this we think is going to be not just a week or 2 weeks, we think this is going to be a continuation, is natural gas. One of the things that we're seeing is on our proprietary indicators, we're seeing bullishness in this market for the first time in the past 100 trading days. The market's finally showing some kind of bullish life and bullish activity. We realize, however, that although the trend on the daily looks down and across the weekly and monthly does look down, our indicators are showing that we now have a turn and that the market is potentially turning bullish. So we're getting excited about that. The other thing that we like about this market is that from a seasonality aspect, this is the bullish time. The bullish seasonality of natural gas is from October through March. That's the winter season. So you also have that aspect coming into play as well. Now, originally we had a thesis that the market was potentially going to be trading in the $4 or $5 range. We're putting that thought on hold for now, and we're just in a wait and see mode, but we definitely believe that the market on the long side will be giving opportunities, whether it be through just storage. We believe over the next few weeks now, the market is going to be turning and showing us that it wants to go up. Again, that seasonality aspect comes into play, as well as our indicators are now showing that the market is turning bullish. So those are the two things that we're really banking, so to speak, to get the market to get some kind of life on the bullish side. We think that the down move is over, and we think it's safe now to start getting ready to start buying this market. So the two markets that we're going to be focusing in on for the upcoming week, as well as the upcoming weeks, will be both silver and natural gas. We think those will offer the best opportunities. Now, granted, everything is subject to change, but as of now, this is our thought process. Okay, oil. Oil is a little bit more complicated. Oil is moving specifically on headline. It's moving on Russia, Ukraine. There's just so many factors that are keeping this market somewhat in a holding pattern that a lot of them are too numerous to mention. You have Russia, Ukraine, you have sanctions on Iran. There's a lot here going on. And because of that reason, the market is really not doing much. You could say that the market's moving around. It's really not giving you a lot of signals directionally where it wants to go. It's really just chopping around and trying to figure out where it wants to go and what it wants to do. That doesn't mean you can't trade it. It just means that from an opportunity standpoint, there's probably better places to be right now. Granted, you can always keep it on your radar and see, but you want to go to situations where the market is showing you that it wants to go someplace, whereas oil right now is not really showing you that. Granted, come Tuesday, everything is subject to change. It could be kind of news. There could be anything. But for now, the oil market is not really doing much to show you that it wants to go somewhere, either up or down. It's just basically just chopping around. Gasoline, it was a tough summer. On the bullish side, it was definitely a very tough summer. The seasonality aspect is now over. Summer driving season is over. So really the focus, you start to flip from gasoline to now heating oil because it becomes heating oil season. Gasoline obviously is always in favor because people are always filling up their cars with gas, but the demand slows down. We've talked about this ad nauseum as to why the market was acting like this, so we're not going to regurgitate it here, but just wanted to show what was going on. Heating oil as well, not really doing anything. So really your place to be in energy for right now is natural gas. It's not in products and it's not in crude. Obviously everything is subject to change, but for now they're not really doing anything that would get you excited. Again, natural gas is a different story. Natural gas is completely separate from crude. It doesn't move with crude. It's in its own world. It doesn't move with products. It's literally in its own world. We think that's the better place to be right now. It's the better focus. Granted, everything is subject to change, but for now, we believe that that is the better place to be. Let's tie into metals and then we'll continue. Okay, gold. Here's my thoughts on gold. Take it with a grain of salt. Hopefully it makes some sense to you. The problem with gold, and a lot of people are focusing on it. I've seen a lot of videos. The problem with gold, and gold is notorious for this, I call it the heartbreaker. Every time gold looks like it's going to do something on the long side, it just literally breaks your heart and just falls back in. Now, if we look at a weekly, it looks like it's starting to break out. I can't argue with that fact. It does technically look like it's going, like it wants to break out. If we go to the daily, it's see the same thing. It's been a choppy, sloppy mess in this zone. Let's just show the zone so you can see it yourselves. It's basically been a choppy, sloppy mess in the zone. It's done it before and then it falls back in. Now, am I sitting here saying that you should short this? No, I'm not saying that at all. All I'm saying is beware that gold has a habit of looking amazing and looking awesome and everybody's jumping and going gaga all over it. And then all it does is just break your heart. That doesn't mean, again, short it. That doesn't mean go out and buy it. It just means you need to watch it and see what happens. There is some data coming out this week, potentially that'll move gold. It's towards the back end. We're going to have NFP on Friday, and that's going to be the last NFP before any rate cut decisions. There is some data coming. Listen, gold is what it is. It's a heartbreaker, and there's not much more to say. Okay, copper. We did a video a few weeks ago talking about this igniting bar. The market looks like it wants to start testing the upper levels of it. I don't know, nor does anyone, how much juice this market has to the upside. We do have some traders that have been trading this very well and have been very successful with copper. It can get going. It's looking right now that it's found some sort of bottom. Test of these highs up here at 4.6520. Looks like that's where the market wants to go. We could see, and that would tie in with this area over here. So you have one area over here. And you have another area over here of where the market potentially could go. So you got around this 4.6 is resistance 1. Resistance 2 is probably going to be about 4.4. I would say this high would be resistance 2, which is 4.6520, and then resistance 3 is up here at 4.75 is where I think the market potentially may go. On the downside, it's pretty easy. On the downside, you're looking at this. This is your support 1, and then this would be your support 2. So support 1 is around 4.42. Support 2 is basically around 4.33. So those are really your areas in copper. Last but not least, in the metal space, platinum. Market is looking to try and get out of this mess over here. I think any break above this, let's say 1380 area, probably sends it. I would be keying in on this 1380 area. I think anything outside of this with some authority, the market's really it can't just wick out of it. It's got to really show some power like silver showed. That probably sends it. The market has been dead and kind of sleepy. We'll see how this plays out. It's a little bit harder. I think the better metal we spun in the beginning is definitely silver. That's the place to be in the metal space right now. I would probably go silver, gold, copper, platinum, and then copper and platinum can switch. But if gold does what gold normally does, then I would go silver, platinum, gold, copper. That's the way I'd be looking at this. Let's just go quickly into the grains and then we'll wrap it up. Beans holding where they need to. I thought that this week potentially would be a dead week. Again, the last week of August, you just kind of expect that. At least that was my expectation. The market didn't disappoint. We're holding where we need to. I think any move above 1060 probably ignites us and starts sending us towards 1080. I would definitely be keeping beans on your radar. Let's just look at oil, meal, and then we'll get to corn and wheat. Bean oil, the market just, for all intents and purposes, just collapsed this past week. At least if you were looking to buy it, potentially we may get a gap fill down to the mid 50s. Looks like where the market wants to go there. However, because it looks like this, that's too easy. So we're probably going to get some kind of bounce. I would say if you're a bear, you don't want this market to get much higher than around 53.75-ish to that area. That would be about 50%. You don't want to see 50% of the down move get taken out if you're bearish. If you're bullish, anything above 53.75, you start to see that there's potentially some kind of change that maybe gets this market moving to the upside. But for right now, the path of least resistance is down. Same thing in bean meal. Bean meal not really doing much. This 296 was rather important. We broke through it on the upside, couldn't hold, fell back through it. So this 295, 296 area is now your line in the sand in terms of change in direction. This has been acting as pretty much solid resistance. That continues. You would want to see the market get above it and then hold for a couple of days, retest it, bounce off of it. For now, again, there's not much to do here. Let's just get to wheat and corn. Wheat is looking good. I like what it's doing. We had the roll. Obviously, we're trading December, but wheat is looking good. Let's see if it can hold. If it can hold this over here, it's kind of sloppy and choppy. I would like to see it really, for me to get excited about it. I'd really like to see it hold above 545 in that 540 to 545 area. I'd like to see it hold above there for a change in trend and a change in sentiment. The gap doesn't really tell me anything outside of we had a gap. So I wouldn't get too excited about it because it just, from a technical perspective, the gap does make sense. We could see the market slam into 540, 545, even 550, and then get rejected. It's been doing that where it gets to around the 550 area and then turns around and goes back down to low fives and just, wash, rinse, repeat. So it's a tradable pattern. I would watch it. I would be paying attention to that 550 area and then trade accordingly. Let's just get into corn and we'll wrap it up. We saved the best for last. Corn had a stand up and take notice day on Friday. This is an igniting bar like we had in silver. Same concept. We're definitely looking to see if the market can reverse course and start moving up. We're not going to get into any fundamental drivers about it. We're just looking at the technical picture of it right now. The market was in a downtrend. That trend has been broken. You can see that, we were in a downtrend, pretty heavy downtrend. That trend has now been broken. So it's just something to keep on your radar. Last but not least, we're going to talk about coffee. We had an explosive move the past couple of days. The market is holding exactly where it needs to. Coffee market is looking phenomenal. It's really holding where it needs to. That's a daily. Let's just look quickly at the month. Look at this. Wow. Look at this. This is a monthly of coffee. Wow. Market is looking extremely bullish. We discussed reasoning for it last week. So we'll reference that from in the description below. You can see what our thoughts were on coffee for last week. But the market is continuing to do what it needs to do on the bullish side. This is a weekly. The market is looking fantastic. Our top two picks for this week, though, however, are going to be silver and natural gas. We believe those markets will offer the best opportunities. We thank you for watching. We look forward to seeing you on the next one. Take care.